Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. On this channel, we spend our time looking at fantasy of all sorts, from books to movies to video games, and applying the characters within into the tabletop game Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. Today, though, we're going to be looking at a core mechanic of D&D itself, specifically one of the subclasses for the fighter, the champion fighter. The champion fighter embodies all that is great about the fighter class. They embody strength, they embody combat prowess. They are, in fact, one of the simplest subclasses in the whole game. But how do their mechanics stack up in the bigger picture? Let's have a look. So, at level 3, the fighter champion gets the improved crit power. Improved critical means that instead of critting on a 20 on the D20, they will crit on a 19 or a 20, doubling their effective crit range. Critting on a 20 is a 5% chance. Critting on a 19 or 20 increases that to a 10% chance. So you crit a lot more often. This is pretty good. I mean, it's specifically for attacks, and that's about it. But critting is a really, really awesome thing and can really change the flow of a battle when it does happen. So I give this an 8 out of 10. Then they get the Remarkable Athlete feature. This means that whenever they make a strength, dexterity, or constitution check, and they aren't proficient in the skill that is related to it, they get to add half their proficiency. This is similar to the Jack of all trades ability that bards get, but limited to the physical attributes. They also get to long jump further. What's cool about this is that it does mean that they can add these half proficiency to dexterity checks as well. So things like sleight of hand, stealth, things that wouldn't normally be appropriate for a fighter. So that's kind of nice. I will say that there's only one strength check, and there are no constitution skill checks. There are constitution saves, but it doesn't add to that. It just adds to checks. So yeah, this is a bit of a half-baked one. It does give you a little bit of buff when you're doing stuff that wouldn't normally be associated with a fighter, but that's not really enough to call it much. I'd give this a 6 out of 10. Next, you get an additional fighting style at level 10. Fighters get their fighting style, which gives them extra bonuses in specific types of fighting, specific types of weapons and styles. And level 10, they get a second one, which improves their versatility with their weaponry and their armor, just making them a better fighter all around. Personally, if it were me, whatever fighting style you've chosen as your primary weapon, I would take, like, the defense one, which increases your AC by +1, but that's just a me thing. In any case, fighting styles are awesome, and I give this a 9 out of 10. Then comes the superior crit at level 15. This means they crit on an 18, 19, or 20, improving their crit chance to 15% for every roll. That's pretty dang good. Like, critting on an 18? That's amazing. And honestly, this means that in the higher levels of play, fighters are going to crit a lot, especially with all the extra attacks they're making. If they don't crit on a specific turn, especially if they have advantage, good lord, fighters are just going to crit a lot. And the champion fighter crits more than anybody. So 9 out of 10 for this. Finally, at level 18, they get the Survivor trait. The Survivor trait means that when they have less than half their hit points, they actually will auto-heal. They will auto-heal for 5 plus their con modifier every turn when they're under half health, although this doesn't work when they drop to 0 hit points. But basically, it's a nice little healing buff. Assuming your con modifier is 4 or 5, then you're going to heal for 9 or 10 hit points every turn when you're hurting. And you can't really complain about that. It's not a whole lot of healing at the higher levels of play, but every little helps. And this will take your fighter from, downable in 1 hit to downable in 2 at the critical points. So I give this an 8 out of 10. When you crunch all the numbers together, this champion fighter gets an 8 out of 10. Some of their abilities are awesome. Improved critting, additional fighting style, you can't argue with those. The Remarkable Athlete is a bit lackluster, but overall these guys are pretty good. They're incredibly simple, they're easy to play, and a lot of people recommend the Champion Fighter as the first port of call for new players. I think that that's a bit of a stretch, considering that they don't get to use magic or stealth. I mean, they really are just about hitting and hitting hard. But as far as just being the ultimate powerhouse on the battlefield, the Champion Fighter really sells it. So, 8 out of 10. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. And keep your eyes open for more subclass reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.